Have you ever had that feeling that your cat totally gets what you're saying? Like when you say the word food and they magically appear out of nowhere. Or when you call their name and they twitch their ears, even if they pretend they didn't hear you. Well, what if I told you that science is starting to prove this isn't just your imagination? In this video, you're going to find out which words your cat actually understands. And the most surprising part? It's all backed by scientific research. But do cats really understand human words? Or are we just projecting our emotions onto them? The answer might surprise you. Researchers at Asahi University in Japan ran a fascinating experiment. They showed cats images while saying made-up words associated with those images. And here's the wild part. After just 2 9-second exposures, the cats were already able to link the word to the correct image. That's faster than many human babies can do. And there's more. When the scientists changed the sounds of the words, the cats reacted immediately. Some had dilated pupils, others became more alert, as if to say, "Hey, that's not what you said before." These reactions show that they weren't just listening, they were actually processing the difference in sounds. And it doesn't stop there. Another study, this time from Paris Nanterre University, showed that cats not only recognize words, but also distinguish between voices, especially their owners. During the tests, cats listened to recordings of different people speaking. When it was a stranger, they barely reacted. But when they heard their human's voice, even just a recording, they immediately paid attention, turning their heads, flicking their ears, or even moving toward the sound. And here's the cutest part. Cats also react differently depending on the tone of voice. When their human uses that sweet, baby talk tone we all use with pets, cats show more interest. That means they're not just picking up on random sounds. They're interpreting the emotional context of your speech. In other words, your cat knows when you're talking to them. They just don't always respond the way we expect, because, well, they're cats. And like any good cat, they understand, they just answer when they feel like it. Now that we know cats can associate sounds with meaning and recognize their human's voice, the big question is, which words do they actually understand? Their name. Out of all the words a cat might recognize, their own name is by far the most meaningful. Studies have shown that domestic cats can distinguish their name even when it's said among other, similar-sounding words. They respond with subtle but clear signs, like ear movements, head turns, or even just a focused look. But here's the thing. Recognizing doesn't mean obeying. Cats are naturally independent animals. They might understand they're being called, but whether they respond or not is totally up to them. That's not disobedience. It's just classic feline personality. Also, name recognition is closely tied to how often and in what tone the name is used. If you say their name in positive situations, like during cuddles, playtime, or when giving treats, they're more likely to associate it with something good. On the other hand, if the name is only used when they're in trouble, they might still understand it, but they'll probably choose to ignore it. So, if you want your cat to respond to their name, use it with kindness, consistency, and during pleasant moments. Over time, they'll learn that this particular sound is special, and that it comes from someone they trust. Food, kibble, or treat. Out of all the words cats tend to learn, the ones related to food are definitely at the top of the list, and for good reason. Words like food, kibble, yum yum, or treat are quickly picked up because they're directly tied to an immediate and rewarding experience. Eating. When you consistently say these words before feeding your cat, they start to associate those sounds with a moment of satisfaction. Over time, that association gets stronger, especially because it's reinforced daily, often at the same times. These words basically become little triggers of anticipation. But cats don't just learn the words themselves. They also become experts at recognizing the sounds that come before food. The crinkle of the kibble bag, the pop of a can opening, the clink of food hitting the bowl, or even the sound of the cabinet door where the treats are kept. All of that becomes part of an auditory puzzle your cat uses to predict what's coming. This kind of sound sensitivity shows just how observant cats are, and how capable they are of forming complex associations between sounds and everyday events. And there's more. When you stick to a routine and use the same words consistently to talk about food, It helps your cat feel more secure, reduces anxiety, and strengthens your communication. They're not just understanding what's happening. They're also feeling more connected to you through that predictability. Come, here or up. Even though cats are known for being independent, they're totally capable of learning simple commands, especially when those commands are linked to positive experiences. Words like come, here, or up are classic examples of cues that many cats learn to recognize over time. The key is in the repeated association between the word and the desired action, always reinforced with something the cat values: treats, affection, toys, or even just your attention. For example, if you say come, and every time your cat approaches, they get a reward, their brain starts to understand that this word means something good is about to happen. Cats are also very sensitive to tone and body language. Saying come in a soft voice while crouching down with open arms is way more effective than shouting it from across the room. A warm tone and an inviting posture help create a sense of trust. Over time, your cat might start responding to these commands even without an immediate reward, just because they expect a positive interaction. This shows that even though cats aren't trained the same way dogs are, they have a sophisticated cognitive ability and are highly adaptable to human environments. It's important to remember that every cat learns at their own pace. Some pick things up quickly, others need more time and patience. What matters most is consistency and never forcing it. Learning should always be based on respect and positive reinforcement. The word no. Although cats are independent animals and often seem indifferent to household rules, they are perfectly capable of understanding negative words like no or get down, especially when those words are used consistently and with the right tone of voice. Unlike positive commands, which are usually linked to rewards, negative words work as boundary signals. When you say no every time your cat tries to jump on the table or scratch the couch, they start to associate that sound with interruption or disapproval. That doesn't mean they'll stop immediately, but it does mean they understand that the behavior is unwanted. Tone of voice is crucial in this process. Cats are extremely sensitive to intonation, even more than to the literal meaning of words. Saying no firmly, but without yelling, is usually more effective than shouting or scolding aggressively. The ideal is a short, clear, and direct tone, paired with obvious body language, like standing up or physically blocking access to the forbidden area. It's also important to remember that physical punishment or scaring the cat doesn't work and can damage the trust between you and your pet. A cat's learning is based on emotional association. If they associate the word no with mild and predictable frustration, they're more likely to respect the boundary. But if they associate it with fear or pain, they may become anxious or avoidant. With patience, consistency, and respect, cats learn to recognize negative words as part of their communication with their human. And the most interesting part, many cats learn to test limits. They'll look at you, slowly do the forbidden thing, just to see if you'll react. That shows not only that they understand, but that they also have a bit of feline humor. Positive reinforcement words: good job, well done. While cats don't respond to praise the same way dogs do, they are perfectly capable of associating positive reinforcement words with pleasant experiences, especially when those words are paired with petting, treats, or playtime. Expressions like good job, well done, that's it, or even a cheerful yes can become meaningful to a cat when used consistently in positive moments. For example, if you say good job every time your cat uses the scratching post instead of the couch, or when they calmly go into the carrier, over time they'll start to associate that phrase with something good. Even if they don't understand the literal meaning of the words, they recognize the tone, the repetition, and the emotional context in which they're used. Also, the cheerful and affectionate tone in which these words are spoken makes a big difference. Cats are highly sensitive to intonation. They can tell when you're happy, calm, annoyed, or excited. That's why using reinforcement words with a warm, positive tone helps strengthen your bond and makes communication more effective. This kind of language also contributes to your cat's emotional well-being, as it creates a routine of positive interactions. And the more they associate your voice with pleasant experiences, the more confident and receptive they become. In the end, cats may seem distant or indifferent, But science shows they're paying much more attention than we think. They recognize words, distinguish voices, understand tones of speech, and form complex associations based on routine and the emotions we convey. Words like food, treat, come, no, and even praise like good job can become part of your cat's emotional vocabulary, as long as they're used consistently, with affection and intention. So next time you talk to your cat, remember, they may not answer with words, but they're listening, interpreting, and, in their own way, responding. Communication between you and your cat goes far beyond meows. It happens through eye contact, tone of voice, gestures, and of course, the words they've learned to recognize. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other curious cat lovers. And tell us in the comments, what word does your cat understand perfectly? Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.